Hey there, Janko Rutgers here for Cord Cutters, the show that brings you the future of television today. On this episode, we are taking a first look at the Vizio Co-Star. It's a Google TV device that now started selling for about $100, and we want to know how well does it work for cord cutting. First of all, a little bit of background. Google TV started coming up about 2 years ago. The first generation of devices wasn't received as well. They were very expensive, they were kind of clunky, had huge keyboards, and people didn't really buy into that. And Google basically revamped the user experience, revamped the whole software part, and now there's a new generation of devices that sell for a much cheaper price point. One of them is the Co-Star, this little box right here. And let's take a closer look at what the hardware itself offers. So here's it, the Co-Star from Vizio, selling for $100. It's a little bigger than an Apple TV. It's about the same weight. It feels kind of heavy, kind of solid, which is nice. I like that. Worth noting is, if you look around, it doesn't have a lot of displays or lights or anything. Sometimes it's even hard to tell whether it's on or off. Basically, it's all like just shiny and nothing really. But here in the back, we have a few ports. There is your power port, your Ethernet port, one USB port only. Then there is one HDMI out port, and you will notice here's another HDMI port. That's HDMI in. That's very particular to Google TV devices, because they are made to work with traditional pay TV, cable boxes, or DVRs, or any other equipment, so you can loop your video signals through. We are cord cutters, we don't have a cable box, so this port stays empty for us, but you could use it if you had your DVR at home. So, and this is the remote control for the Vizio Co-Star. It's kind of big. That's the first impression that you get from it. It also feels kind of heavy. It basically feels like somebody stuck two remote controls to each other, glued them together, and that's basically what it is as well. Because if you turn it around, you're going to notice you have a full QWERTY keyboard on this side, which is very nice when you actually want to do some typing, if you want to search for something. The Co-Star has a built-in web browser, so every now and then you're going to want to enter a web address. And the keyboard actually works really well. If you compare it to something like the Boxy remote control, it also has a keyboard, but the keys are a little flimsier. Here it has a really nice touch to it. Kind of almost feels like a cell phone keyboard or cell phone keys if you have like a BlackBerry or something like that. On the other side, you have your traditional numerical pad, and then your D-pad here, but they also have a touchpad. So on the Vizio, you can then use this to basically navigate a mouse. You have a couple of other buttons that you can use to fire up your guide and stuff like that, and we'll go into some of the functionality later on. But also worth noticing here is that there are shortcut buttons to a few services. There's Amazon Video on Demand, there's Netflix, and there's MGO, which is an upcoming service, hasn't launched yet. So when you press the button right now, nothing really happens. But eventually this will offer you more functionality. The last thing worth noticing is that this whole remote control works via Bluetooth. So you can put your Vizio in a cupboard or somewhere. It doesn't have to have line of sight, which is obviously helpful when you type, because you can't always point it towards the TV when you type. But it also has an IR blaster built in. So you can use this to control other devices like your TV. You can turn it on and off, or other home theater devices you can pair with this. And then you just put the remote control somewhere on your couch table, and basically it has an IR sticker all around, and it can control these other devices as well. So Google TV is, first of all, made kind of with pay TV in mind. It is supposed to accelerate your pay TV experience. And if we had hooked up a cable box to this, we would now see your cable feed here. But you can also use it as an over-the-top box, of course. You don't need to have cable. And then it's basically more comparable to a Roku or an Apple TV. And you start with a kind of a blank screen here. And something that's very unique to the Co-Star is that Vizio kind of skinned this whole Google TV experience a little bit. If you press the Vizio button on your remote control, you have like a sliding out menu bar here, and you can also make it disappear again, and can spend all day with that, of course. Then you have access to your favorite apps and all apps that are pre-installed, and I also downloaded a couple of apps. So this is basically your one-stop to get to content from Netflix to basically the Google Music service, and all kinds of stuff that you want to access here. And worth noting, if you compare this to something like the Apple TV or the Roku, is that Google TV comes with a browser built in. It's a full Chrome browser, so if you fire this up right now, it's going to look like a regular web browser. And you're going to say, why do I need that? Why would I want to watch? Why would I want to browse the web on the TV? Isn't that kind of painful? It kind of is if you want to read a lot of stuff, or you don't really want to use this to answer your email. That would be kind of silly. But sometimes, of course, there's really websites that don't have an app yet, or there's something going on somewhere else that you want to just look up really quick online. And for that, this is really nice. So we could go, for example, to our own website, GigaOM TV, and then fire this up. And it takes a second. We're using our Office wireless network, and we have many other people working right now, so this is loading up in the background. But then you can use the mouse here to navigate a little bit, or you can scroll on the page a little bit. And then basically, since Google TV also has built-in Flash, I was a little too fast here, you can play any Flash video. Start this off and then maximize maybe the playback, the video. Sometimes it doesn't work as well. Sometimes it takes a second to load, but then you can watch videos on full screen from any website. So you're not dependent on just accessing a couple of apps that are pre-installed or apps that are available through a marketplace. There's one big disclaimer for this that is worth mentioning. That is that some of the TV networks, so Fox and CBS and ABC, block Google TV devices from accessing their online content. So you can't go to CBS and play, I don't know, the latest episode of The Amazing Race or something like that. It's going to say your device is not authorized to play this content. That happened early on, and that hasn't changed yet. Speaking of content that is available, if you go back for a second here, I already mentioned that there is a Netflix app available. Pretty much everybody knows by now how Netflix looks like, so we don't need to fire this up. But there's also another way to access all of this stuff, and that is Google's own TV and movie application, which is right here, which kind of provides a TV guide experience for serialized content, for movies, for TV shows. If we had live TV hooked up, we could also browse our live feed with this. We are cord cutters, so we instead just look at TV shows, and then I can go and if I'm a fan of The Family Guy, for example, I can go here and see all episodes that have aired in the past, and then I can see where those episodes are available on which services. And here it says free, which is a little misleading, because when I click on it, it's going to tell me I can watch it on Netflix, which of course is not free, but once I have subscribed to it, there's no additional costs. So then one click and it's going to launch the Netflix app, and I can start watching this. This is very helpful, of course, when you want to find episodes, when you see what's available online. It has different sources. For some of this stuff, it's not available for free, but it's available on Amazon Video on Demand. You pay for it, $2 an episode, $3 an episode, and you will find it all through this TV guide. One app that I would like to feature is YouTube, because they kind of made a special app just for Google TV. YouTube, of course, is on many devices now, but for Google TV, they kind of have their own experiences, which is very tailored. And especially if you use YouTube a lot, if you subscribe to content on YouTube, it's very nice, because then you can browse it, you can look at different playlists and stuff like that. So here's all the GigaOM videos from the GigaOM channel. I could now look through all of this, or just sit back and play all the Seafawners Run, or all the Cord Cutters videos in one sitting. So that's very nicely done. Another app worth mentioning is OnLive. The Coaster is the first Google TV device that has a full featuring OnLive app, so you can play games on this, popular video games, that then get streamed basically to your device. You don't have to download them, you don't have to buy the discs. Instead, you just pay for them online, and then it gets streamed in real time. And actually, this remote control also doubled as kind of a basic gamepad, because it has gyro functionality built in. I found it a little hard for some of the advanced functionality. I basically got beaten up pretty badly in some of those games. But you can also, if you are really a hardcore gamer, buy accessories for this, like an OnLive game controller. And then it becomes basically a game console for $99, or a little more if you buy the controller. And that's pretty cheap as well. So that was the first look at the Coaster, the first Google TV device that sells for $100. It's a big step forward for Google TV. Before, the devices were expensive, they were kind of clunky, the remote controls were weird. So this is a big advantage, a big step forward. That being said, is it a device for everyone? I'm not sure about that. There are still some quirks with that experience, and some content is missing Most notably, there's no Hulu Plus app, so it could be a deal breaker for some people. But I think if you're a big Android fan, if you really like the ability to install a lot of apps from the Android marketplace or from Google Play, if you like to tinker, if you like to customize your own experience, if you like to have a web browser, this might just be the device of choice for you. And I think being on a platform like Android also allows it to go a lot further and bring more functionality in the future. So this device will definitely get some upgrades in the future, and it could get interesting.